Well, it's been a good hour since the Game Changer program for Galaxy viewers has officially died off. You know what that means?
Get to the chopper.
Gift Changer program, ladies and gentlemen. As I said, even though the Game Changer program's disappearing, the content's still gonna be the same. The influx of content's still gonna be the same. It's just an official nuance that they're getting rid of. But other than that, if you've been enjoying the content for the past 3 years in this channel, nothing's gonna change. We're still gonna be here, baby. So a lot of news has dropped in Galaxy of Heroes today. The first one being this lovely post right here, an update on the Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes Game Changer program. If you haven't seen the video already, I posted about an hour ago. Link in the top right hand corner. Basically, this is just a formality that I'm still gonna make content. Everyone else has been playing Galaxy of Heroes will still make content, so this really has no impact on me specifically that much. But for right now, the stuff that matters is making our usual bits of content. And today's Geonosian Brute Alpha, we got confirmation a while ago that this guy was hopping over to the game, and he looks to be a pretty fun character. Now, keep in mind, we got confirmation a while ago as well that in order to get Watts on board, you're going to need the Geonosian Brute Alpha. So this isn't just another character you can be like, whatever. This is going to be kind of important, it seems like, for the upcoming Geonosis territory battle. So the Geonosian Brute Alpha, kind of like we got a little teaser a while ago, kind of reminds us of the boss character, essentially, but for Geonosians. And let's start looking at the kid, give you my impressions, and then we'll move on to the other fun news we got for today. The basic is called Shield Bash. Simple stuff right here. Deal physical damage to a target enemy and dispel all buffs on them on a critical hit. Again, we said this with Shock T. Being able to dispel on a basic is a pretty important thing because there's going to be a lot of opportunities to be using your basic attack. And these animations look really cool. Seeing the Geonosian Brute Alpha just get in there and just punch Yoda in the face, it's pretty satisfying. Glade Sweep. Now, if you guys don't know what a glaive is, it's like a special, like a two-sided bladed weapon. As you see right here, Geonosian Brute Alpha is going one to the left, one to the right, and that's what the glaive is. So Glade Sweep has a cooldown of 3, and it dispels all buffs on all enemies. So again, a lot of buff dispels from this character. Buff dispel on the basic, buff dispel on AoE. Wow, a lot of stuff right there. Deal physical damage to all enemies and expose them for 2 turns. Then remove 15% turn meter from debuffed enemies. So kind of curious how this is going to work. We still don't have full information on how the Geonosian rework is going to look like. We have some information, I believe, on the Geonosian Spy and what they're going to be doing to him. But overall, it seems like this is going to be the more debuffs on the field, the more deadly. This is going to be 15% turn meter. It's a nice little chunk of turn meter mover right there. I'm not sure what the order of operation is in the code, but I'm assuming it's going to dispel all buffs, and then you're going to do your AoE and apply the expose. And after the expose is applied, potentially, you should be able to remove turn meter because that expose was applied. So if that's how the code works, that's a pretty nice immediate 15% turn meter removal, and you don't have to have a debuff on them before you do this ability. The next ability we have here, Conscription. This is where we start playing with the brand new summoning mechanic that they have in the game. We have no other character that can do this that can summon a minion besides like raid bosses and whatnot. So Conscription has a cooldown of 3, and the cool thing is, besides summoning a Geonosian Brute, that's going to be your second character you get to call in here, dispelling all debuffs on Geonosian allies. So Geonosian allies have a mass debuff cleansing character. Cleansing and being able to apply debuffs, those are like 2 big things, but cleansing is one of the most important mechanics in this game. And after you do a cleanse on all Geonosian allies, you're going to summon a Geonosian Brute to battle if the ally slot is available. So, you know, sometimes you can do light side, dark side battles in the Cantina battles and bring in an ally. If that ally slot is filled, the Geonosian Brutes won't be able to come into battle. But for most things in the game, you'll have all 6 slots because you can't call in an ally for arena, for example. But if Geonosian Brute is already present, so let's say you already have a Geonosian Brute in the game or in your match and he hasn't died off, he's going to gain critical damage up and offense up for 2 turns. Then all Geonosian allies gain 15% turn meter and recover a whopping 35% health and protection. We haven't even looked at the rest of the kit yet, but there's a lot of like Barris type of things. That health and protection regeneration, keep a pin in it because that's going to be important for the rest of the abilities we're going to read in a second. So here we go, a double ZETA character for Geonosian Brute Alpha. And the first one is going to be applied to the leadership. Geonosian allies have plus 15,000 health and protection. So this is actually one of the few instances where we just get a flat number, whereas before for a lot of other things you get like plus 50%, plus 10%, plus 15%, whatever the case may be, and plus 50% health steal. Holy cow, that's a huge amount of health steal. That's getting close to like Nihilus territory lead almost. Geonosian allies will recover 3% protection when they use a basic ability, and then basic abilities of Geonosian allies deal 10% more damage for each buffed enemy. So this is really going to penalize those teams that are very buff heavy, and so many ways to recover health. I mean, we have the 50% health steal just in general when they attack, and then they recover 3% protection when they're using using a basic ability. So there's a lot of opportunities for these guys to be super durable. Geonosians might be just one of the more durable teams in the game, kind of like how Bosk is, but this seems like it's gonna be a lot easier to reproduce the health and protection, unlike a Bosk team maybe. And here we go, our unique ability, first one here, Queen's Will has a Zeta as well, and Geonosian Brood Alpha has plus 60% tenacity. Gosh, this is really screaming Bosk. Bosk is like granted high tenacity as well, and all Geonosian allies have the Hive Mind buff, while Geonosian Brood Alpha is active, which can't be dispelled or prevented. And when another Geonosian ally is defeated, reduce the cooldown of Conscription by 1 at the start of the encounter. Is the summon a Geonosian Brute who taunts for 1 turn. So you're going to call on a Brute, and you're just going to make him taunt. So we have a dedicated taunting tank that is coming alongside with this Geonosian Brute Alpha. So this really, it's a 2-for-1 character special. They could have easily made these 2 separate characters, but they combined it into 1. This offers a lot of bang for your buck for the Geonosians. And the special ability Conscription has a low cooldown, so it should be pretty easy to reset the cooldown on that if the Geonosians are happening to be dying left and right. And Hive Mind, from how I'm seeing it, if it can't be dispelled or prevented, I'm guessing it's going to be kind of like the blue status effect we see on the screens for a lot of things, like being prepared, or for example, guard from Chewbacca and whatnot. And Hive Mind, what it says, assist whenever another Geonosian ally uses an ability during his turn, dealing 50% less damage. So there's a little bit of a negative right there. And then you get the equalized health and protection with Hive Mind allies whenever an enemy uses an ability. Now, if you guys saw the Clone Wars TV show, they're referencing the Geonosian Queen. I don't remember if that's her specific title in the Clone Wars episode, but those Geonosian zombies, they were kind of like unstoppable. It was hard to kill them off. They were kind of relentless and just kept, they're the zombies basically. Zombies are hard to take out. And this is where that Barris-like mechanic comes in, where there's a lot of protection and health regeneration going on, or recovery and balancing going on between everyone. And this is just the last thing I gotta say before we move on to the Geonosian Brutes kit. This is probably one of the most assist-heavy teams in the game, where almost every single turn someone's assisting. I mean, Chewbacca might be the second closest because he assists when 2 characters have guard, but this right here, tons of assists going on, and it's gonna be, I mean, as long as the Geonosian Brood Alpha is active, they're gonna have Hive Mind immediately. So from the very get-go, every single time a Geonosian's using an ability, boom, assist, boom, assist, boom, assist. Yeah, 50% less damage, but over time, we don't even know what the damage output is on this team. Over time, this is gonna really knock down at your team a lot. And then we have the Geonosian Brute, a very simple kit, which kind of makes sense. You already got a pretty good Geonosian Brood Alpha. Now, Geonosian Brute, the second character that we're gonna get with him, is a bit simpler. Goading Strike, deal physical damage to a target enemy, and you get the taunt for 1 turn. So remember as well, he gets to taunt as well through the Queen's Will unique ability. At the start of the encounter, summon a Geonosian Brute who taunts for 1 turn. So at the very beginning, you're gonna automatically summon a Geonosian Brute who gets the taunt. I'm not sure what the health of this Brute is gonna be. They're saying it's a tank, so it's gotta be pretty durable. It shouldn't be B1 level health where it's 1. I'm assuming this should have some decent health and protection, which makes it worthwhile to be a tank and to keep summoning over and over again and to taunt a lot. Swarm Tactics, cooldown of 4. Deal physical damage to a target enemy and call all other Geonosian allies to assist. Again, another assist mechanic going on here between the Geonosian Brood Alpha capabilities as well as the Brute, and that is a higher cooldown of 4, so it's going to take a little bit longer to use it, but still, they're going to be assisting a lot regardless, and no 50% damage penalty here. And then we have 2 unique abilities. Reckless Retaliation. Geonosian Brute has plus 25% offense for each active Geonosian ally and 100% counter chance, kind of like Sunfac. Sunfac he's pretty much always counterattacking, dispelling on a basic, and here we're also going to get another person that's going to be able to counter as well. And I'm curious how the damage output's going to be. I'm not assuming too much damage for a tank, but if it's 25% offense per Geonosian ally, including the Geonosian Brute, that's 125% extra offense right there. So we'll see how the damage output's going to look like for this character. And Summon, the second and last unique ability. This unit stats scale with the Summoner stats, and this unit can only be summoned to the ally slot if it's available. This unit cannot be summoned in raids. This unit cannot be revived. Basically, this unique ability is the worst unique ability of all time because it's telling you what you can't do. When this unit is defeated, it is not considered a defeated unit. So this is important right here because keep in mind things like Asajj Ventress or Veers, where their effects are triggered when someone is defeated. This won't, for example, trigger Veers' turn meter gains and stuff like that he gives to Imperial troopers. When there are no other allied combatants, this unit escapes from battle, and a unit can't be revived if the this summoned unit exists in their slot. So I'm really looking forward to how this kit's going to operate. I actually have invested pretty heavily recently in Geonosians once we found out a while ago that Geonosians were going to get reworked, and also just kind of seeing that they're going to be important for the Geonosians territory battles, as the developers kind of said in their podcast way back when, back in Star Wars Celebration. So my Geonosians are kind of ready. They're at gear 12, and they're already used for some ships. So I'm kind of curious to see how this is going to all pan out for the Geonosian Brood Alpha. So Geonosian Spy is going to be getting some changes, kind of like how HK47 got changes with the future release of Darth Revan. They're doing the same thing for the Geonosian Spy's kit, and I don't think we should be freaking out too much. The Geonosian Spy was never really a crazy character. There were some very weird uses that you could use with the Geonosian Spy, but overall, I mean, I only geared him up mainly for the ship and in preparation for this character and the reworks that we're going to be getting. But let's see what they have to talk about. So the developers have been on this campaign against characters that have severe turn meter gain, and so they, as they said, this is a pretty big red flag when we are creating new units. I mean, just looking at the kit right now, you get 70% turn meter whenever Geonosian ally inflicts a negative status effect. So I mean, we haven't seen what the actual full kit reveal is for these reworked Geonosians, but if you can gain 70% turn meter on a debuff, and there's a possibility that Geonosian Spy could get more debuffs in the future, that's a pretty big chunk of turn meter to gain right there. So if you have seen the Geonosian Brood Alpha kit, you'll find that the current version of Geonosian Spy's kit will create an infinite loop fairly easily, as we kind of said. To mitigate this in the short term, we will be nerfing Spy's kit along with the release of Brood Alpha, and since this significantly impacts the ability, we will be returning all ability materials that she used to upgrade this unit, his unique ability, Illicit Insect. So it's a good gesture. I mean, it's not something I'm freaking about. Other people probably freak about, and most likely if you're using the Geonosians, you're just going to upgrade this ability most likely in the end anyways. And here we go. Also, this isn't Geonosian Spy's final molt evolution. We'll be making some updates to the Spy in the future, but aren't quite ready to share those changes just yet. So this is the old kit. We just showed it. You get 70% turn meter. Here is the new thing that's going to happen. Whenever a Geonosian ally inflicts a negative status effect during their turn, Geonosian Spy gains 20% turn meter. All right, and I'm not going to really read this whole entire post. This is all about changes to the Gear 12 inflow, because with the release of Gear 13, or the Gear 12 finishers that get the Gear 13, there's a lot of concerns regarding what about the current gear we have? How easy is it going to be to get all this new gear, and how are we going to get all this old gear in order to catch up to Gear 13? Well, I'll quickly summarize this post. So they're going to be releasing Gear 12 Plus a little bit easier. They said, for example, in the Championship Store, Gear 12 Plus will be purchasable in the new Championship Store using the Championship tokens. Geonosian Territory Battle prize boxes. As you know, when you complete the Territory Battle, you get a pretty big reward payout, and in there, you'll also get both current Gear 12 Plus and the new Gear 12 finisher prototype. So a big burst of stuff for completing Geonosian Territory Battles. And also the Geonosian Territory Battle Guild Event tokens, those will also be able to get Gear 12 Plus. And the Gear 12 finisher prototypes will be farmable as well, kind of like how you get, you know, how right now you can farm gear on your normal PvE nodes, but they're going to also be releasing those to the existing PvE nodes. And they're going to be making more changes to how Gear 12 and all the gear is going to be released in the upcoming future with another announcement. But right now, they're kind of highlighting that they are going to try to ease up the gear crunch to for all the things you need to build up the Gear 13. So now this pre-Gear 12 sources, I'm going to really summarize this because it's kind of a post saying, we understand you feel like the Carbonti grind is hard, but really we've been increasing it over time. They have this little graph here showing how over the past 2 years, the amount of Carbontis that have been given out, Mark III Carbontis, has steadily increased over the past couple years. And that's basically because of things like the Territory Battle prize boxes, raid rewards, challenges, shipments, and etc. That's why we see a gradual increase over time. And I don't know if Mark III Carbontis are really the best thing to kind of point out. I mean, I understand the Carbonti thing it's not the best grind, but it's not the worst grind. The worst grinds are things like the stun guns. Those are bad. The things like the golden eyeballs, those are pretty bad. Both the challenge rewards as well as the normal golden eyeball stuff too. Those are the things I really want to see the data on. This Carbonti one, I feel like it's very specific and it's not quite the graph I want to see to hear this point. Maybe they'll be adding stun guns to the Mace Windu challenges. That's my speculation as to ways to maybe ease up the gear crunch in the future. And here comes the most important paragraph out of this whole entire post. As I mentioned before, we are also adding more agency-based inflows for Gear 12 Plus, which we will announce when we can give you more details. Before we roll out these additional inflows, we are addressing one of the biggest field-based changes we can make, which is to change the Zeta drops from the shipability material challenges from 0 to 2 guaranteed. And I was grilling hard about this the other day in my video talking about Zeta drop rates. They're still 0, even though the interview, it seemed like the senior producer thought that maybe they change it to 1 at the minimum. I'm glad they're finally making this change, because getting only 0 Zeta mats back to back, or sometimes back to back to back to back, is one of the worst feelings in this game. However, they're going to be removing both the 0 option and the 2 option. So taking away the 2 option is the bad news. But ask yourself, would you rather just a slight chance of getting 2 Zetas each time you're gonna sim, or would you rather at least guarantee to be getting 1, aka you're always gonna get 2 Zetas when Zeta Day comes around? Again, no fear that the Game Changer program's dying. The program's been dead since November 2018, in my opinion, and everything's been a-okay over here and across Galaxy Heroes content creators. So once again, thank you so much. Like the video if you did enjoy it. Comment down below on the Geonosian Brute Alpha. What speculation and theory crafting ideas do you have for this character? And be sure to subscribe so you're not missing a thing. And we'll talk again in the next video, guys. Peace out.